So class ended up getting canceled today because it is snowing. It's supposed to snow for like the next 12 hours. So I am gonna go to my girlfriend's house, hang out with her for a little bit, because usually Wednesdays I am stuck at school all day. So I'm gonna go see her for a little bit, and then I'm gonna come back home and finish working on the Civic. So I'm gonna just put the battery tie down in, the cowl, the wheel well, plastics, stuff like that. And then hopefully the car will be ready to go on the road soon. I'll probably pull the car out of the garage and leave it on the side with a cover over it, so that way my dad can put one of his cars in there, or the tractor or something like that. So I'm back out in the garage. I brought the car back in so that way I could finish it. It has to put the bumper back on. We also have to put the windshield wiper cowl on, which is this little plastic piece right here, but I also have to put the metal windshield wiper cowl underneath, so that way you can't see the header and stuff like that. Ryan's gonna come over to help me just finish everything up, and we're gonna start the car again. When I started it the first time, it was so cold outside, I think the header actually like shrunk slightly, so the there's a little bit of an exhaust leak or something. That's just what I'm guessing, because it sounded like an exhaust leak. But after I let it warm up enough, it went away. So still kind of trying to figure out what that was. So we're going to give it one more start up, but we're going to let it warm up in here again first. So hopefully it was just a freak thing, because I've never started the car in a cold temperature like this, especially because that windshield wiper cowl piece is out. There was snow piled up on top of the header, so I think there was a little bit of some shrinkage there or something like that. So
shrinkage.
Yes! Let me know if you guys have ever had that happen to you or heard of that happening, because it seems kind of weird, but it ran healthy afterwards, so I'm not too worried. Oh. Ow. So I'm going to be changing the fuel line, the AN fittings for this, so that way I can run it so the fuel line comes around the engine bay, and then into here with this U-bend, and then comes across and then goes into the regulator. Right now I have it coming into the regulator from the back, so it's not really the most optimum way to do it. So Ryan's going to start the car. I'm going to pull the relay out for the fuel pump itself, and then we're just going to let the car idle until it dies. Okay, so I got to take this stuff out of my trunk. So I doubt you can see that, but this little black relay right here is what feeds the pump. So that way if anything were to happen, this relay would blow out before my fuel pump burns up, because you definitely don't want anything electrical to burn up with fuel around it. Okay, just try and start it once more. It's not going to do anything, but... So what I just did there was I just pulled the relay out for the fuel pump, so that way it didn't get any more current, so that way the fuel pump stopped sending fuel. Then I burnt up the rest of the fuel that was inside of the line, so that way I could change out the AN fittings without having a bunch of fuel leak everywhere. So I gotta cut this fuel line, get it to fit right. So I just cut the fuel line so that way it'll fit. I'm just going to take the blue tape off it actually. This was just so that way I knew where I was going to cut it. And if you've ever used an AN line, it's these two pieces, this one piece and then the second half. So one slides over the top half first, like so. I'm going to have to push it down a little further, and then this goes inside of it and it locks it in place. So I just fixed the fuel lines for the regulator and everything like that. The fuel line now comes all the way from the pump around to this side of the fuel rail. Then it goes back into the regulator, and all the overflow then goes back through the return line that I made last year. This fuel line right here now comes up, around through here, into the fuel rail, across, into the regulator, and then on the bottom of the regulator it goes down back to the fuel return. So We just started it up, there's no leaks, so that's a good sign. We also put this little cowl in, so that way if I do have to back out for anything, at least nothing will get onto the engine like it did before. We also started it and it didn't have any of those weird noises that it had before, so whatever that was definitely just a freak thing because it was so cold. So the last couple things we have to do now is just the bumper, the fender liners, and some other small things like the battery tie down and stuff like that. I forgot to turn the mic on before with Ryan when I was doing this part, so I'm just going to quickly voice over myself so that way you know what I'm talking about and have a general idea what exactly I'm going to say. So obviously, first things first, you got to take the wheels off to get to the fender liners. So I'm just going to do this really quick, and I'm just going to rush through it on a time lapse. So obviously right here, this is the fender liner, this is the driver's side. You could see that along the edge I had to cut it for my old fender, for my old wheel setup, sorry, because it was a little too aggressive and it would rub a slight amount. I also had to roll my fender, so I had to get that out of the way slightly. So I also have a bunch of new clips for the bumper and for the fender liner. A lot of the old ones snapped when they came out because a lot of them were it was the first time that they actually came out of the car since 2008, so I have to buy some of these to replace them. Okay, so apparently we forgot to turn the mic on for basically the entire video, but we're gonna throw the bumper up on there to mount it now. Catch. So we just threw the bumper back on. That's what the fog lights look like. Just better than having a cut open hole. Looks a little bit nicer, looks a little bit more clean. Plus they'll get some air. This will actually hit the charge pipes and cool the charge pipes down themselves. And then this one will just go in and just bring air in extra. So that way I can get a little bit more cooling. And the car is basically done now. pulled the Civic out for the second time, but now everything is on the car. Everything from the windshield wiper cowl to the battery tie downs to the coolant overflow, every little thing, down to the buttons that go into the bumper underneath, stuff like that. So the Civic is officially done. So now I can start doing some more videos of it, and I don't have to take videos of my friends' cars anymore. Although I still will, unless you guys don't want me to. So let me know. Definitely excited to have the car back on the road. It's great seeing it outside. I also did LED headlight conversion. I also did it for my girlfriend for her birthday on her 2010 Accord, and she said it's a giant difference. I could see it's a big difference. I haven't driven it yet, obviously, but it obviously is bright enough. And these fog light hole intake things that I did definitely look really nice. It's probably way too dark for you guys to see, especially with this bright light in contrast. So hopefully, guys, I can get some more videos up from my car, and I also won't forget to turn the mic on the next time that I do a video with Ryan. I kind of left Ryan in charge with that. I'm not going to blame it on him, but it was a little bit on both of us that we didn't realize it was on until a lot later. So I got a new mic for the GoPro. It's one of these little dead cat, so it should help with the wind noise and stuff like that, and it's not the big one that I used to use. So hopefully this one is pretty decent quality as well. So I'm just pretty hyped that the Civic is done though. And then the next big thing should be here relatively soon. I was talking to the people that I'd be dealing with, and it's just a hectic week. It's the month of everything starting, so you know, spring is coming. Everyone's starting to get ready for car season. Be a little busy for now, so hopefully everything can get here before the show season starts, and I can do another install video for you guys.